Hello, friends, and welcome to the 123rd episode of Snap Judgments. As almost never, I'm Roy Rogers, and joining me today, as always, is my friend and yours, the one, the only, the Imperial Sandworm of the Snap Judgments podcast himself, my friend and yours, Aaron BlueSky. Aaron, my friend, how are you on this beautiful spring evening?
It was actually kind of cold today and very cloudy here. We didn't have a nice day. Spring has not really sprung in New York yet. It's been real ugly. But beyond that, thank you for the great intro. It's always an honor. My friend who is totally never being facetious with his long intro of me.
Definitely never being facetious, yes. So, who are our very special guests who will regale our loyal listeners and loyal viewers with their wonderful opinions and points of view?
We're going to kick this off by introducing one of the new Marvel Snap streamers who has risen in record time to prominence, although not new to streaming. Apparently quite big streamer. We've got DeCarlo220. How you doing, DeCarlo?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. DeCarlo, how can our friends find you, and what will they find should they look for you on Twitch?
They can find me on Twitch at DeCarlo220, or they can find me on YouTube, also at DeCarlo220, and at Instagram at CJ DeCarlo. And they can usually find me playing a Snap for hours and hours and hours.
Fair enough. I really enjoy DeCarlo's stream. He plays a lot of cool decks, a lot of decks that are both on and off meta. It's a very, very good time. We are also joined by a man I actually learned about on YouTube and then found on Twitch. I really, really do enjoy his YouTube channel. It is our friend Unfit Parrot. How you doing, Parrot?
Doing good, and I can say spring has absolutely sprung in the Rocky Mountains over here. It was about 80 degrees today and snowing over the weekend, so...
How appropriate, 80 degrees and snowing. That sounds absolutely perfect. So, what can our friends expect if they find your content, and how would they find it?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/ at unfitparrot, as well as twitch.tv at unfitparrot, and we're always brewing up decks, always looking for the next big breakout kind of thing, as well as playing at the top of Infinite and just playing a variety of different decks.
Awesome. Roy?
Well, if you would like to engage with Snap Judgments on social media, you can exercise poor judgment and engage with us on Elon Musk's propaganda platform, Twitter, also known as X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Our handle on there is at SnapJudgeCast. Even more importantly, though, than following us on Elon Musk's death machine is that we are proud each and every week to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone, where Glazer is regularly writing articles, and many of our awesome guests, Lauren, Den, and others, produce content there. They're amazing. So please go check out Marvel Snap Zone. They're great. They're the best place to find consistent information about Marvel Snap, no matter your specific level of engagement or interest in Snap itself. If you want to... Oh, wait. Because Glazer never updates the speaker notes. Ever. What is our handle on where the skies are bluer?
SnapJudgeGlazer on BlueSky.
SnapJudgeGlazer. All right. Our email, the snail mail of the digital world, is snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com, where Glazer will not read your email, just like he won't read the sponsorship offers that he gets in the email. Then, most importantly, friends, of course, is where you are probably listening to this right now. That is our YouTube. Our YouTube is at Snap Judgments Pod, where 6 out of 7 days a week, if being completely honest, 8 out of 7 days a week, Glazer is out there grinding, making daily videos, making daily content. Aaron, if our loyal listeners were to become loyal viewers of our of the YouTube channel, what would they find on the channel right now?
So every Friday I do a top 10 decks video, and it's the most thorough thing in the world. It goes well over an hour with like just an absolutely insane detailed breakdown. Either Saturday or Sunday, depending on when this comes out, we're also going to do a bundle review of basically every bundle that has a Series 4 or 5 card coming to Marvel Snap. So if you're interested in either of those things, check it out. I will be riding a boat around Niagara Falls while you watch.
All right. Glazer, you have also taken up Twitch streaming. What is our Twitch and where you can find the live recording and face reveal of many of our guests? Where can folks follow you on Twitch?
BlueSky, come check it out. I'm streaming almost every day when I'm not at Niagara Falls.
All right. So Glazer is not taking his well-deserved vacation. You can check him out every day. And then last but definitely not least is our Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments, where for just $2 a month, you can get access to, or more, but at $2 a month minimum, you can get access to the Discord, the amazing tournaments that Gunny T and others run on the channel, and so much more, including the Patreon exclusive video that myself and OG founder of Snap Judgments, Chris Lavin, recorded last week, right? That was last week. This week has felt like 4 years. I think that was last week, right, Aaron? And
That's
you can
Thursday.
you can watch that video, enjoy it, among many other Patreon exclusives. So go up there, support the reverse pyramid scheme, because this is how Glazer, who has a beautiful wife and wonderful child, justifies his credit card charges for the community through the Patreon. All right, let's talk about this week's new card, Kahori. Right? Is that how you say it?
Mm.
Cool.
I don't know,
Awesome.
Sure. I don't watch What If.
Proud. I didn't watch it either. Proud I maybe got it? Question mark. All right. She is a 4/6 Series 5 6K tokens with the on reveal. Each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play +1 power. Parrot, what do you think? What if this was a good card?
Well, whenever I'm looking at a new card like this, I always want to look at like how unique it is, because when it has like a very unique ability, I feel like that's going to change how they kind of go with it going forward. Because if it's a card that can be switched out for other cards in any deck going forward, then if it's weak, and even if they give it like a couple buffs, then it's not really, you can switch it out for other cards. But Kahori, I actually think it has its unique niche of these kind of like Victoria hand lists and stuff. I found shells that I like with her. I don't know if her power is quite there right now, but it's just, yeah, right there. I think maybe we just haven't found the right shell, but she just feels very overshadowed by some of the other great 4-drops we have. Cards like Galacta, even with its nerf, and even like Gwenpool, it feels like she's fighting for that slot, and Gwenpool is not the strongest card, but I do like the effect that she's having, and I do think she has a home. We'll see. I think this is a card, if it doesn't get at least a little bit of love, maybe like that 4/7 stat line, we've seen like Misery get that +1 point of power, then I can see it kind of falling to the wayside, but it feels right on the cusp for me.
DeCarlo.
Well, I agree and disagree with you. I'd say Kahori is probably. Well, I agree that it's obviously like she's kind of on par with Gwenpool, but I think she's a little bit better. And well, I I sent Glazer one of my crazy, like, everyone knows I love like bullseye decks and stuff like that. So just imagine a bunch of swarms in your hand, and that's basically another way of working, like Moon Girl or buffing, uh, just sending a bunch of Sentinels and she can actually add a lot of power to to cards on your hand. And I've used her, I've grandmastered her and with other cards, and I'd say yeah, I mean, and I think that since they just since they just buffed Devil Dino by a point, that had to have that had to have to had something to do with Kahori and Moon Girl. Uh, because everyone plays Devil Dino, Moon Girl. That's that's been a thing for forever. But yeah, I mean the Victoria hand style decks, those kind of decks, those are the best for her. I just like coming up with totally off meta decks. And I use this to get 3 infinite tickets. So I can't really complain. So I'd say right now it's too early to tell, but she's on par, but I think she's slightly better than Gwenpool. Because Gwenpool just hits random cards in your hand.
Right. No. Okay. Yes, I thought you were shook your head. No,
I'm
my bad.
trying to mute myself because you were complaining earlier about my typing, and I had to respond.
I don't remember
to
doing that. That didn't happen.
Sure, I really like the swarm idea. I think that's the most fun that this card could be. I think this card though, at 4 cost, asks too much of you, unless you are doing some sort of giant sort of payoff, right? So doing something silly, and I mean silly in a positive way, like the swarm stuff. But I just think unlike it's kind of a reverse Gwenpool, right? Like Gwenpool wants you to either have amazing cards in your hand, and then they all get bonus, and you just it's Magic Christmas Land, or you have just 1 or 2 cards, right? And you get the buffs. You get the buffs a bunch. This is kind of a reverse of that, right? It wants you to maximize the amount of cards in your hand, but also cards in play, or at least a card in play. So the tension points are super weird in this card. I think smart people out there in the world may figure out a way to abuse her, whether it's on the sillier side with the swarm interaction, or what's the right mid-range thing where if you play 2 cards and then play her on 4, it will mathematically make it one of the best plays, whatever, somebody like Lauren that will do the some math or whatever. That's where I see her being. I see at the end of the day, to me, this is going to feel like one of those Marvel Snap cards that feels like a silly card, but is going to end up being a boring mid-range card at the end.
So I think the best homes for it so far have been homes that already want to fill your hand with crap. If your hand is already full, then she's quite good. I think the decks that want to fill your hand with crap right now are probably worse than Gwenpool decks, which makes her right now probably worse than Gwenpool to me. But I don't think that there's a gulf between them, and I think common conception is that there's this huge gulf between them. I think they're reasonably similar in terms of power level. I think right now I would take Gwenpool because I think the decks that Gwenpool goes in are generally better than the decks that Kahori goes in. Kahori is, well, that's not fair. So Kahori is really great in the Thanos deck right now that's floating around everywhere. But that Thanos deck right now is, how do I put this? So good it does not give any kind of shit whether it has Kahori or not. There are 18 cards it can run in that spot, and it does not matter. The other place it's really solid is Victoria Hand. But Victoria Hand lists don't also super duper give a shit, right? Like, they don't really care if you have these extra cards. And then you can do Bullseye stuff, and you can do Moon Girl stuff, and you can do Sebastian Shaw stuff. But since none of that's really meta, what you end up with is like a powerful but off meta card that doesn't really have a lot of homes. I have very little doubt that a time will come that this will become a very powerful card. Like, I'm very much expect this to just be very good somewhere down the line. But for now, like, I just think there's more powerful things to do. I think this card ultimately comes off as a disappointment. I was hoping it would be closer to Galacta than Gwenpool, and I think it landed closer to Gwenpool than Galacta. And I don't know if I need another of those, right? Like, I feel like its lane is reasonably well handled. It is really good. I have multiple times been fairly frustrated by that it hits completely randomly, and I'll get like 4 or 5 power on one thing that I didn't really give a shit about in a lane I wasn't concerned with, and another lane I will get like 1 power, and I'll just be like, I needed like 3 there. And I had 7 cards, so like I had plenty of chances, right? It's just that kind of variance makes this card really rough. So you want to play it with a really small board, but a really big hand, but that's also like a complicating factor, right? Because most of the time you have to run a lot of stuff if you want to make your hand big, and there's just not a lot of stuff to run. This card is a lot more complicated than I think. I personally have found a lot of success with it with Grandmaster. The problem is neither Victoria Hand, maybe there's a Victoria Hand list, I gotta mess with it more, but neither Victoria Hand nor Thanos really wants Grandmaster. My biggest success has still been the Season Pass Lure deck, but like, that's got little to do with this, and just I'm good with, like, for whatever reason, the way Agamotto works with my brain. And I don't know. I've got a lot of very, very, very complicated thoughts. A lot of people are going to end up getting this card because it is mathematically correct right now to use 2 spotlight keys on a card if you don't own 2 cards. And a lot of people don't own Hydra Bob. So mathematically, you should, if you're missing a card, use 2 keys. 2 keys is about, will be 6,000 tokens in value in the new system. We'll talk about that momentarily, right? So that is 6,000 tokens value. You're getting 12,000 tokens value if you need Hydra Bob also. So that's just a better deal, right? Like, that is mathematically the right decision to make, but you can make that decision anytime this month. So a lot of people are going to put Kahori, and at some point I have very little doubt that this card's going to end up either very good or buffed into being something very good. But I think at this moment it's just a standard good card that's fairly easy to skip. Like, in almost, like, if I want to run Swarm stuff, I don't need this. If I want to run Thanos stuff, I don't need this. And if I want to run Victoria Hand stuff, the other cards I can replace this with are Series 5 cards like Anti-Venom and Moonstone, but they're still replaceable. So it's skippable. It's skippable because it's not strong enough to stand out. Cool. We good with Kahori? All right, let's move on to Uta. Oh no, we have this before we have Uta. Did I? I don't think I even copied the OTA on here. Whatever. The OTA is a nothing burger. I don't really give a shit.
You can listen to Glazer's take about it on the SnapJudgeGlazer YouTube channel, which you probably are listening to this right now.
In a video or 8,000 other places. The only thing that mattered in the OTA was Rocket Raccoon went to a 3-2. And I'm not sure if that actually mattered. Does anyone have any? Yeah, go for it.
I was going to be like, well, we should be generous hosts and allow Parrot or and then DiCarlo to tell us their sort of brief takes on the OTA. So, Parrot, what you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing I feel like I want to highlight is that Devil Dinosaur change, and especially coming off of talking about Kahori, it feels like something Second Dinner does very regularly is they have a card that's maybe just not in the meta, something like Devil Dinosaur. And we've seen this happen with other cards before where it's like, why is this card not getting a buff? And then they have a card like Kahori coming out, and it's like, well, they want to wait, right? Like, they want to see if Kahori comes out and it ends up better than nerfed Galacta, then they're not going to buff Devil Dinosaur because these cards seem like in some decks they might work together. Then if Kahori comes out and it doesn't completely disrupt the meta, then they can give that buff to Devil Dinosaur, and they'll wait a while for it. I think that's, we've seen it happen with like Dakin. Dakin for years, people were like, why is this card not getting a buff? No one is playing Dakin. And then Bullseye comes out, and now people are like, why is Dakin not getting a nerf? And it's because I think they're like, we are going to wait and see. And that feels like what happened at least with Devil Dinosaur to me, and I think that kind of shows where Kahori's power level is, where it's not just disrupting the meta, it's not changing anything, and it feels safe to give that Devil Dinosaur its buff. Overall, for this OTA, it feels like some good changes, but a lot of the cards that got buffed really need like a lifter card, something like a Scream, something like to change their whole archetype, not just a point buff to really affect the meta. And then the nerfs were just nerfs that needed to happen. They were going to happen at some point. We got them now.
Carlo?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you about basically everything. I mean, I don't really play Red. I don't really play Red Wing, and I don't. I think no one really was, and they probably wanted more people playing that. So that got a buff, and then like I mean, I had said before. I mean, Kahori and Devil Dino. That may turn into a thing, but the other thing is that now that Patriot and Bishop got points added to them, I mean, now you can't use them in Ravona decks, which kind of takes away from their value.
Yeah, 3-2 feels like a real half measure there, where like 3-3 or even 3-4 for something like Patriot would have done a lot more. Like, imagine a 3-3 Patriot. I think that might actually shake up the meta.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see, and then this is this season is basically it's ongoing season, so everyone is running anti-ongoing cards, so I I don't know, the OTA was basically not spectacular.
Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy with probably how it seemed the last couple OTAs, and I imagine it's going to continue because they're just kind of giving these points to these cards that really just need like a lifter card. Like adding a point to Bishop's not going to change him. Adding 2 points to Bishop probably isn't going to, shake up the meta. If we got another Mysterio, something, plays multiple cards, like these cards need more effect than a point or two is going to give them. And I think it's fine to give them the points, but I think people just aren't going to be excited by 3-2 Patriot like they would, a new Squirrel Girl or a new Ultron that can totally change up these cards.
Funny you say a new Ultron given next week's card.
Yeah, Infinity Ultron. Yeah, and then I mean, everyone knew that something was gonna happen to the Scream deck, so obviously they took a point off of of Rocket and Groot, but I mean Rocket and Groot, it's still a great card, and then Bullseye is obviously played a lot. I mean, what is one power taken off of MODOK really gonna do to anything in any discard deck?
So MODOK should have lost a power because it won't affect its play rate in any way, shape, or form. And if it can lose a power at that point, it probably should. But like, it also doesn't solve anything.
No. Nope. So yeah, so this OTA was I don't know. I don't think it solved anything.
I also would like to just quickly shout out that they buffed Red Wing, which is a really, really cool card. So at least they did that. But I don't think it fundamentally changes the card, but hopefully it makes a few more people play it because that card is massively fun.
I just want to co-sign that as a fellow Red Wing believer. Absolutely.
Fun.
I was really happy to see that change.
All right. With that, unless Roy, any thoughts? No? Okay. So we are going to move on to the Snap Packs news. I'm going to read through it and then we'll talk about it. So I've got a couple slides. Props to Smiles, who plays on ladder as Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico. He did a quick notes and I was like, hey, can I get your notes? And then I used them. So yay, Dr. Shrimp. Smiles. So first, keys, tokens to conversion. Spotlight keys will be replaced with 3,000 tokens on the collection track when the update goes live. Your Spotlight keys will also convert at a rate of 3,000 tokens per key. This works in albums and absolutely everywhere else. Anywhere you would have had a Spotlight key, it will now be 3,000 tokens. For anyone who's not aware, just for the purpose of conversation, that is an improvement. Spotlight keys are anywhere between 2.5 and 2.8 tokens in value currently, so they're giving us a decent little upgrade on that. Specific Series 5 cards are still 6,000 tokens, and specific Series 4 cards are still 3,000 tokens, and your pinned card should remain pinned. There are new daily token bundles, so you can buy tokens whenever you want. You'll get 50 free tokens every day, 1,300 gold for 1,000 tokens, 3,100 gold for 2,500 tokens, and 6,000 gold for 5,000 tokens, which is, generally speaking, a little better than the rate of Token Tuesday, which they will also be improving. That is still reasonably expensive, but reminder that there are plenty of ways in Marvel Snap to get gold for free. You don't just have to turn your hard-earned money into gold. As far as the cost of Snap Packs go, seasonal Series 5 cards are 5,000 tokens. This includes Series 5 cards from the current season and the one prior. The Season Pass card is only from the season prior. Seasonal Series 4 are 2,500 tokens, which includes Series 4 cards from the current season and the two prior. Collector's Series 5, that's the old ones, are 4,000 tokens. You're getting a 2,000 discount if you're willing to sort of gamble on older cards. That contains all Series 5 cards, not in the seasonal Series 5 pack. Collector Series 4 is 2,000 for all the Series 4 cards, not in the seasonal Series 4 pack. And then Collector Series 3 is 650 tokens, which is all the unknown Series 3 cards. All Snap Packs will come with 2 bonus rewards, ranging from boosters to extra cards to average at 10% extra value. That will be scaling for, so if you spend the 5,000, expect the best extra value, versus if you spend 650, you'll get lower extra value. You get 10% of 650 is much less than 10% of 5,000. Yes? Snap Packs don't contain any duplicates. You're guaranteed a new card when you open. I believe that's the last of these slides. It is. We're good. All right. Roy, I want the most casual person's thoughts here first. What do you think?
I think that everything to me but the seasonal Series 5
Mhm.
feels very generously priced and I think pretty reasonable. I kind of wish that the seasonal Series 5 was priced where the collector series is, and the collector series was maybe 3K or something like that. But that might be me being greedy. But I think that sort of the Snap Pack pricing here is, I think, a lot more generous than I was thinking it was going to be. I think that the bonus stuff that you get in the Snap Packs, I really, really wish. I get why boosters are in there, but I really, really wish boosters were not in there. I think boosters are, except for titles, and actually sometimes I've been more excited to get a title than I have been to get boosters in rewards that they give us. But I think overall, I think I prefer this system to the Spotlight keys. If you want sort of like detailed thoughts about some strengths and some weaknesses of this, you can give Glazer $2 or more and listen to Chris Lavin and I really sort of talk in detail. So I'll sort of
It's a $10 exclusive, bud.
Oh, $10 exclusive. Okay, $10 exclusive. So give $10 to Glazer. And so I will, in Glazer's financial interest, be quiet beyond that and sort of throw it to our wonderful guests. I think we'll probably start with DeCarlo here, since we've let Parrot kick off the discussion earlier in the episode.
I mean, I think it's a great thing. It's obviously going to be good for. I mean, I know in like my community, which is like, all right, uh, we have a lot of people that took a break from the game and are returning, and this should be, I mean, this should help them a lot. Um, and then there are people like me and a lot of other people that are collection complete, and I mean, it's it's not it's not bad. Like I can't really find. I mean, I like the packs, and then I know everyone's like, I know a lot of people are complaining. It's like, ooh, they give us 50 tokens a day. It's like, so what? That's 50 free tokens, and they still have a token shop that you can use gold to, and and you're still getting gold on the, as you progress up on the ladder. Because like, I don't know, I think I'm on like 59 on the season or
Jesus,
whatever.
already?
Yeah.
I'm at like
Well,
23.
and yeah, so I mean, I've gotten like 1,200 gold, and that that's bought me other stuff, and you could use that to buy tokens in the shop. But yeah, I mean, we'll be getting, you know, 15 1,500 tokens for free a month. I mean,
A lot.
that's, yeah, you can't complain about that. So I think, I mean, I think it's a good thing.
Kurt?
Yeah, well, when I see this, and it really wasn't until we got these details that I felt like I could actually form an opinion on this, because when you're talking about an economy of a game like Snap, or really anything, it really just boils down to how generous is it for how people are going to like it. It doesn't matter if it's like the worst kind of player-facing system, or if it's this really great, exciting thing, and yet those things absolutely matter. People will absolutely care about those things. But if it's generous or if it's not generous is going to be what people walk away from. And the
Mhm.
last system did not feel generous to the majority of people. So when people were saying, "Oh, how do you feel about snap packs?" I was like, I really don't care about the whole pack thing unless it's going to be a more generous system, unless it's going to get more cards into people, unless people are going to be able to actually feel like they're not falling further and further and further behind. And I think this does that. Like looking at how it is, like these seasonal packs, I really like that you can kind of target cards that you want. I'm really excited about like potential like destroy pack or a discard pack that might be coming for people to target more specific decks. All of these things feel like they are there to help the player, there to make people who put the game down for 6 months and come back and say, what the heck? What is this Iron Patriot and Sam Wilson? I don't have any of these cards. They can do these. They're not going to just gamble 2 cubes or 2 keys, not cubes, every single week, not get any new cards, feel like they're falling further and further behind. It feels like it kind of raised that bottom up and also really lowered the ceiling. Like looking at this as someone who's series complete, I don't know if I'm going to spend money on Snap besides the season pass. I mean, I'm sure I will, but I'm like, I might be able to just kind of ride out from here. I'm sure I'll buy bundles here and there, but like it seems like it brought the ceiling down and more importantly brought the floor up. So that was really good. So overall, I think this is going to be a really good system just because of that generosity standpoint, because that's, let's face it, what most people are going to walk away from, whether it's loot boxes or packs. If people feel like they're getting more, then they will like the system more. That's how economies work in games.
While we're in ads on the Twitch side of things, so lovely podcast listeners, enjoy this moment that a bunch of people will miss. For a content creator, this is incredible. I share a deck, you want to play it. I have card replacements in all my videos, but there's this one card that's irreplaceable. Today, Werewolf by Night was in a deck I shared, and a bunch of people were like, I love this deck, I want to play it. I don't own Werewolf by Night. Well, that is a Series 4 card. There's no guarantee that you can find it, but if you can find it, Series 4 card, just spend your tokens and you're done, right? Like, you're just done. You can get the card. Or if you only miss X amount of cards, you can even buy a bunch of collector's Series 4 packs and see where you end up. And a lot of people are going to impulsively do that, and that's great for them, and it makes more people engage with content about the game, and that is all around awesome. But outside of my own selfish desires for more people to engage with content about Marvel Snap, this is for anyone who can engage with a system remotely intelligently. There's nothing hidden. You just have to choose and make good decisions. As long as you're willing to make remotely good decisions, you had to like optimize the shit out of spotlight packs to get anywhere. With this, as long as you're not just like flushing away your tokens, they're giving them to you. You see the card you want, you pin it, and then a couple times a month, like literally, I think 3-ish times a month, even without buying the season pass, you just get to buy the card you want. You should be able to build a deck. Like, you should be able to build a deck at worst in a month or two. And then, like, if every 2 months you're getting to build another couple new decks, even without spending, that's through the roof value. For anyone who's even remotely, like, middle of Series 3 on, the value here is absolutely and insanely huge. There is one group of players that misses out. It is the people who are just getting to Series 3, where they could save 4 keys and open and get 4 new cards for those 4 keys. Now they'll be getting 2 new cards for that same amount instead of 4 new cards. That's half for a little bit. That's going to slow down the sheer quantity of cards you get right away when you get to Series 3. But okay, right? Like, a lot of times, what a lot of players do is they don't really engage with content until they get to Series 3. They don't really know what they're doing in Marvel Snap until they get to Series 3. Or at least that's the way it has appeared to me, and I've got a reasonably big community that I'm sampling from. Until you get to Series 3, you maybe watch like a 2-year-old Cozy or Kochia video, but like you're not doing anything really community-based. You're not paying attention. So what that means is when you get a token, you don't really understand the system, so you probably just blow it for a while. You get a token, you open a cache. You get a token, you open a cache. The caches look empty. Oh, I'll wait till next week. I got a token, I'll open a cache. And what that ultimately means is you don't get anything that's remotely coherent as far as deck building. I had for a while, I eventually had to stop fundamentally because I just sheerly don't have time. People send me their collections as they were halfway through Series 3, and then look at their Series 4 and 5 cards and try and build them decks with whatever they had in Series 3. Series 3 now also happens too fast to really make that worth it because they doubled collection rate while I was doing that. But what I noticed was a bunch of people had a bunch of random terrible cards from early when they were in Series 3 because they just opened some random shit. That's not a thing now, unless you decide to gamble, right? You can say, oh shit, 2,000 tokens for Series 4, there's only like 30 of those. I'm just going to throw some money in. I have a friend who's fairly along the collection track. You might know him as Gunny T, who's like, maybe I'm just going to throw $500 at this and just be collection complete. Cool. If you get to the start of Series 3, Lauren did this math for Zombies Go Nom Nom, just to give full credit. I don't do math. If you get to the start of Series 3 and you're like, no, I'm not doing this. I want all my Series 3 cards. You can spend about, I think it's $1,200, $1,200, and just be done with Series 3. And in the process of getting done with Series 3 in this manner, you're going to end up having like some stupid 60,000 tokens or something, which you can then turn into 1 million more cards. Like, is $1,000 a lot? Yes. Is $1,000 a lot to be fundamentally complete in a game? No, not when you compare it to Magic, not when you compare it to Hearthstone, right? All of a sudden these deals don't look so bad, and you don't have to do that. You can just be patient and wait and still get almost everything. If you are a season pass only player, you are just barely not able to get every new Series 5 card they release. We're not going to worry about Series 4. That'll be a different thing, and you might have to miss Series 4 cards. But you should still be able to get 4 out of every 5. Again, I asked Lauren to do the math. 4 out of every 5 Series 5 cards. If you buy the Season Pass and the Gold Pass, you are now easily getting every Series 5 card they release, and most of the Series 4 cards. Okay. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Everything about this seems like an absolute home run to me. I don't know how else to put it. This is far, far, far better than I could have imagined. I'm going to have Matt on this podcast soon and be way nicer to him than I should be because I am so happy with this. Like, I'm in no way kidding. Like, I am so happy with this. You can call me a shill all you want. Absolutely everything about this makes perfect sense to me. It is generous. Lauren did a bunch of math where she tried to estimate the lowest they would charge us for each thing. And these are the numbers she came up with. Except in her calculation of the lowest, she came up with 4% as the average extra value for each pack. And they're giving us more than double that. So they're being genuinely outright ridiculously generous. And I could not be happier and more positive on Marvel Snap. I only wish this happened significantly sooner before a reasonable portion of the player base got frustrated and wandered away. But that is out of everyone's control. No one owns a time machine. As is, I am thrilled. Like, genuinely. Any follow-up thoughts, or are we good to move on to the new cards?
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Ooh,
the
go,
really
Parrot.
just key thing there. Oh no, is I was just gonna say that it just feels like it really helped with like optimizing this system, where you can just. It both requires less optimization from the player. You don't have to find data mine sites to see what spotlight caches are coming to figure out how to save your keys. And also, it requires less optimizing from second dinner. We don't need, spotlight 40 cards to be dropped in series every 4 months. Otherwise, people fall too far ahead. And it seems like it's much better at regulating itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that because I think we saw what happens when the hand comes off and it doesn't have as strong of a steward.
I have one more negative that I forgot to say. I need to remember this because I want to actually say this to Matt. And okay, so there's going to reach a point, and it's not now. Like, much like there was with whatchamacallit, spotlight caches, where there's just too many cards. Where there's just too many cards for if you want to buy a collector Series 4 or collector Series 5, the older cards, right? There's just going to be too many. And they're like, we're not going to do as many series drops. We want to see if this alleviates series drops. Spoiler, we can all see it. It doesn't. Eventually, there just become too many fucking cards. They're going to try and milk that as long as they can, just like they did for spotlight caches. They need to have a firm number in head so that they don't break the damn system that they just spent all this time making. Because eventually it will break under its own weight. Everything does. Although at that point, they probably just introduced Series 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw that exactly happen with spotlight caches where it broke under its lack of series drops.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you,
lack of compelling series drops.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are going to make a Series 6. Mentally start preparing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. That's
ultra rares. That's what the game needs, mythic rares. All right. So we are the next season, or no, this is next. Sorry, there's
June.
I deleted May. The June.
I wish.
The June season, which is kind of Doctor Strange adjacent character themed. Starting with everyone's favorite Lee and Kirby creation, original to them, Merlin. Who says at the start of each turn...
Wait, time out. If Lee and Kirby didn't create Merlin, who did, Roy? Who did? That's what I thought.
British bards during the Middle Ages, but that's not here nor there. Also, French romantic authors. But anyway, so at the start of each turn, I add a wizardly incantation to your hand. All right, Glazer, give us some incantations.
All right, incantation 1 is Omniversal Presence. On reveal, replace this location with a new one and give Merlin +2 power. They all have banished their skills. 2, the once and future is on reveal. Shuffle your lowest power other card here into your deck to get +2 energy next turn. 3rd, last one, Polymorph is on reveal. Transform your lowest power other card here into one that costs 2 more. Banish this.
All right, so we got some new skills, which would be important for a later card. DiCarlo, what do you think of everyone's favorite master of magic?
Gandalf?
OG Gandalf is really what he is.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is he a cheaper Agamotto?
He doesn't
But
make your deck thicker. He just puts them in your hand.
yeah, this is true. And his spells, I mean, well, so I don't know. What one of them looked kind of like what it gives you extra energy is it each turn? So that's I don't know. Is that kind of like a I don't know, like Psylocke or something like that? Uh, and and then taking your lowest, I don't know, your lowest cost card and changing it. Uh, that's some Cersei, some Cersei uh kind of stuff. So I mean, seems cool to me, especially for 2/3. I mean,
Yeah, he's much more power than I would have thought.
Got to sell those season passes, Roy.
Quick question before we get to Parrot here. Do we have any sense if the incantations repeat? Or do each turn you get...
We don't, but it says at the start of each turn, and I would assume they don't run out without that being specified. So I would assume it's possible that they repeat.
Right, but do they repeat, like, so say I get Polymorph...
I think you can get Polymorph twice.
like Polymorph?
I
Or
don't
they
see
have
why
to cycle
not.
through?
I don't think there's. We
there's
don't know.
Lots of...
We don't know, but there's no reason to assume they do based on the wording.
yeah. Does it say banish or?
Yeah, no, it banishes. Once you play it, it's gone. But I don't see why you couldn't just get 2 polymorphs. Like turn at the end of turn 2. Sorry, at the start of turn 3, you get a polymorph. At the start of turn 4, I don't see why you couldn't also get a polymorph in your hand.
I mean, I agree, but also I don't see why you would. Do you know what I mean? Like the wording of the card.
I'm going to look up Nico's wording.
That's what I'm looking at right now. She doesn't really say... Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She just says the spell changes each turn, and it doesn't say anything about different or cycle. We know Nico works that way, but I don't think it actually specifies anywhere under short text.
Well, if he's only got 3 skills, right? He gives you 1 on 3, 1 on 4, 1 on 5, 1 on 6.
So that means it could be they repeat each time,
or there could be more spells we don't even know about. Yeah. We just have to deal with the data mined unsure knowledge at that point.
Okay.
Multiple polymorph seems nuts. You turn your 1 into a 3 into a freaking 5.
Yeah. Yes.
For 3 energy. It's pretty good.
I apologize, Parrot. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, I prefer, unlike the French or English version, I prefer this to be Mirrodin, the original Welsh version, personally. But no, I don't know. For me, this card, I mean, it feels awesome. Super unique. I love cards that just like you're like, whoa, what is this? Like, this is like 3 cards stapled onto 1. You're getting me each turn, but it feels like it's missing a wizardly incantation to me. Just because 3, I don't know. For me, it feels like it needs like a 4th one there, especially like Polymorph, and like 2 of them kind of shuffle something away, and the 3rd one is like a Scarlet Witch. Maybe, I mean, we only have 3 in the data mine right now, but I could really see like a 4th one there. Like Agamotto did 4, Kate Bishop has 4 arrows, but maybe they've tested in 3 is where this will land. It's a data mine. It's a couple months out. So much can change, but as it is. Yeah, I mean, I like this card. I think it's super unique. Looking at homes for it, it seems to me that because 2 of them are like changing a card, Polymorph is like a super Cersei, and the other one is like shuffles it away and gives you extra energy. I'm thinking Clog, Firehair, like shuffling away a hood, getting it back, playing another hood, polymorphing it, feels good. Same thing with like Clog, you play a debris, you turn that rock into a 3-drop. You play Sentry and turn that Void into that huge 6-drop, even if it's like a Emperor Hulkling. I mean, that's still, a 17-point swing. So that's where, because those 2 effects are kind of similar where I see it, I could also maybe see it in Erishim. Erishim is a deck that can both run out of steam and have like cards that really don't you want to play on the board. If you draw a Cyclops, polymorph that away, shuffle that away, get extra energy, help you get even closer to that 6-drop. And it's giving you something to do with that extra energy that Airshim's generating. So maybe that's just the Airshim brain where it feels like almost any card can go into Airshim because you're just like, what's wrong? I mean, I have extra energy, and when I draw it, it's good. When I don't, I didn't draw it. But for me, that's why those are the 3 decks that kind of come to my hair, like Firehair, Clog, Airshim, and yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a powerful card.
And you can play, I mean, say you had a 5 and it goes 2 up. I mean,
Airshim or Scar.
Airshim or Scar, or one of the cards that may, I don't know. There may be a future card coming up, but
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that later. Roy?
Yeah, Merlin is the best, most interesting Nico variant, I guess, so far. I think it's super. I think, when do you think, Glazer, we said that they were going to have to introduce a new card type? I think it was like episode 50 or whatever. They
got there.
Yeah, 2025 seems to be the year of the new card type. It'll be, because this is also the month with Nicholas Scratch or whatever, that they're exploring like payoffs for not just this being a cool card, but like really trying to build around this and Agamotto. And so I'm interested to sort of see where the design space on this is going to be. I think that this card is going to prove to be a balanced nightmare with the skills. Plus, it's pretty aggressively costed as a 2/3, and similar to Kate, right? That's where Kate started, right? It was a 2/3,
where she lives.
So I think fun card, cool card. Great that they made this the season pass because so many people can have access to it. But get ready for lots of OTA tweaks and people getting probably a lot of salt when in August Merlin gets nerfed to the ground.
They haven't nerfed a season pass card to the ground in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, Galacta's
that's not a nerf to the ground.
No, not to the ground, but Galacta.
They nerfed Galacta. They nerfed Iron Patriot. They nerfed Surtur several times. Surtur's probably the closest to nerfed into the ground, but even then, he's still in a meta deck right now.
I mean, again, Galactica, Lady Galactus going from ubiquitous to just played in a lot of decks is kind of like if you cut half the stock market off and then you restore it to 90%. Was it a big game?
We are not doing this. Thank you, Andrew Yang. For the rest of us who are no. Oh God. So all right. Merlin seems like it's incredibly strong. So a thing that they're actually doing right now, that I have no doubt that they're doing on purpose, is everyone wanted to buy Nico and 1 million people bought Nico. Everyone wanted to buy Airshim and 1 million people bought Airshim. Agamotto was seemingly insanely successful from at least everyone went and got it. Yeah. They're making everything, I think, either a Nico, a nice 1 or 2 cost, does something really variable and crazy and high variance. Think Iron Patriot. Or they're making everything an Airshim, think Agamotto, where it's a high cost, which we will be getting next week with Infinity Ultron, and later this season with Dormammu. They're trying to release a couple of these a season, and I'm a little worried about that. I think that gets dangerous. They've done an amazing job at hitting on these cards lately. They haven't broken one yet. But that's some high variance, dangerous space in which to play. That said, it would not surprise me if this was the best card in the game. In any, as data mined, right? You're giving me a 1 cost Scarlet Witch. That gives great. That's gonna turn this into a 2/5. That seems silly. Polymorph seems silly. The extra energy, I can shuffle in whatever bullshit I want. Hell, you could try and clog me. I can shuffle in a rock and get +2 energy. Yeah, great deal, bro. Like, I think this card feels completely silly. It doesn't make my deck any thicker. It doesn't do, like, this might be when cards like Kahori get good, right? Because it's just adding a card to my hand every turn. Like, this card seems like it might just be too much. In a very real way. This is, I don't think anything else we're going to talk about this month, maybe one other card, feels completely insane. This one, and like, we could all be wrong. Which, like, someone tried to yell at me about that today. Like, you thought Bullseye was going to be bad. I'm like, yeah, I did. I was wrong. Like, did you know that everyone is when they talk about unreleased cards? Because we're theory crafting. Certain things certainly look good on paper and do or don't, right? Like, everyone on Earth thought Firehair was going to be amazing. Sometimes I get them right. Sometimes I get them wrong. That's life. But this card, for all the world, seems completely insane.
Well, let's talk about, depending on who you ask, history's greatest femme fatale or
Ugh.
misunderstood feminist icon, Morgan Le Fay. All right. So, what does Arthur's sister, lover, whatever you want, noted Doctor Strange, and DC supervillain, Series 5, 6K tokens. She's a 4/5. On reveal, return all your discarded and destroyed cards to your hand with +3 power. All right. Parrot, what you think?
This card to me feels, one, like it has a sweet ability. Like, that is +3 power. We almost
It's a
never
lot.
see a card that, yeah, that's a lot of power. Like, every card that's released like that, like Athena, anything that can do +3 almost always gets nerfed. However, this card has a very steep downside with the return all discarded and destroyed cards here with +3 power. It feels to me like it's a card that's, it's like, it is half a deck in itself, and I don't know what the other half is. Like, it feels like if we were playing the old Wave Death deck from 2022, or when, came out, where you're killmongering squirrels and stuff, and then you play, like, now Black Swan, and then play all those squirrels out, I don't know what that deck, I don't think that's a deck right now, but I just don't know how you discard or destroy a lot of cards, because even the decks that, like, discard and destroy a lot of cards don't actually end up with those cards in the discard or destroy pile. Like, cards like Deadpool, Wolverine, X-23, those go back to your hand. Cards like Scorn, cards like Proxima Midnight do not go to your discard pile. So I don't know where this is. Like, maybe the Thanos destroy version could maybe do something with this. Maybe it feels like it's missing a card. Like, it's missing some card that you either want to destroy, and maybe we're going to see a card that wants to be destroy cards here coming up soon, or like a card that, like Carnage or Venom, that is a destroy thing that you can actually just be destroying cards that are good and have no problem doing that. Because right now, yeah, it just feels like it's a lifter for a deck that doesn't really exist, and that's a cool ability. I'm excited for this card, but I just don't know where I'm going to play her.
DeCarlo?
Yeah, I mean, well, Morgan Le Fay is probably one of my favorite characters from, I mean, pretty much everything. I mean, didn't she teach Doctor Doom magic?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a lot of Marvel Strike Force and stuff like that, and she's one of Apocalypse's horsemen.
Horseman, yeah.
But
I don't remember, but I believe
this is I don't know. The fact that she's she's a 4/5, so I mean, you'd have to, like, I don't know, get her down in cost. So I don't know if you're playing Sabu or something, or you're using, like, Merlin and cheating out energy with one of his spells. But like you said, yeah, I mean, do you play him in, like, a destroy deck, a discard deck, and then those cards are just going back to you? I mean, I don't know if, like, you you can play with like that, like Thanos' stones or like misery or fire here or any of that kind of stuff. Because those are the only things that I see, that generally disappear and don't go back to your hand.
Well, Swarm disappears and doesn't go back
Well,
to your hand.
But
then
yeah,
you have
Swarm,
to figure. But then you have to figure out a way to discard your now 2/6 swarm to if you want 0/6 swarms, and there's not an easy way to do that.
and you don't want to be clogging your hands, which is the so. I mean, it's she seems like a very like a cool card, but I just don't know. Right? I mean, just thinking right now, I just don't know how this would work. Unless you got like a free destroyer from like the raft or from, one of those
Even then, you now have 2 turns to play your +9 or whatever in power, right? Like, it's just rough.
yeah. So, it's yeah.
Troy, any thoughts?
So I think everybody is all right about the tensions in this card being all over the place, and I think while they read interestingly, it's like it's one of those things where I think she's either going to be really good in a discard or destroy deck, and not some sort of combo of the two. And there's not really like a reason to run her as a tech card, right? Because there's not necessarily at this point a lot of decks that are necessarily destroying your things, and like get Shang-Chi at like 5 and you play her 4. Like there's no like it. So that means you need to build around her. I think Parrot's earlier point that maybe a return to sort of older school zoo destroy might be the thing where you play a bunch of small things for value, you blow them up with Killmonger or Venom or Carnage, and then get them back. Like play this on 5, get them back, and just sort of spam a bunch of power around the board on 6. Is that as good as traditional go tall destroy? Probably not, but it's definitely something there. Like maybe with Marvel Boy, right? Because it keeps other buffs. So like if you like, but I think all of this is more of a off meta fun deck than meta changer. And so I think Morgan, despite being oddly a super storied character, both in Marvel and in other areas, I think they sort of put awkward text on her compared to say Merlin. Like, which it's interesting that they picked Merlin to be their like centerpiece character, considering that while he is one of the most famous characters in sort of Western European, Euro-American culture, he's not that important in Marvel. So I don't know. That's sort of what else I have to say about Morgan.
Wish there was a Captain Britain this season.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do Merlin and Morgan Le Fay, like throw a Captain Britain in there. Jeez.
Give me all Avalon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Or,
like, let's do it.
I mean, come on. Merlin should just be a Doctor Strange. Like, he should just be a Doctor Strange card. But anyway, go ahead, Glazer. Close us out here so we can move on.
I don't got shit. This card's gonna suck unless something new comes out. Like, I'm not gonna we can theorycraft all day. Maybe someone brilliant will come up with something, but for the time being, like, there's nowhere this makes sense. People who are like, I wish there was more creative and weird shit to do on Marvel Snap, go figure it out. I just there's nothing that fucking makes sense. Like, if this was a 3, we could really talk. Like, really talk. But it's not. It's a 4.
She could end up as a 3/4 at some point.
If she does end up as a 3/4, we can talk, right? But like as is, what the fuck? Like, I'm not wasting my time. Like,
all right, well,
wake me when it's a good card.
cards that are gonna
Hell
cause people
yeah.
to waste a lot of time.
No, this card's awesome.
We've got the Ancient One. I believe this is a female version of the Ancient One. Maybe from the movie, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's the movie version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3/5 Ancient One. On reveal, add Tau Mandala?
Sure, that.
Sure. Another skill. On reveal, your character, which costs 3 cost. Your characters here copy the text of one of your ongoing cards here. I believe it's DeCarlo's turn to start us off. And so let us know what you think of movie Ancient One.
Okay, let's see. On reveal, add a Tau Mandala to your hand. So, add a missing entry to your hand.
It's Tau
So it-
Mandala.
Yeah, so it just adds. It's a card that adds a copy of itself to your hand.
No. Ancient One adds Tau Mandala. Tau Mandala is the on reveal. Your characters here copy the text of your ongoing card.
Okay.
So it adds a skill. While you think on this, let's let Parrot go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the things that I see with this card is one, very powerful ability. Tau Mandala, like copying ongoing cards, because it's not replacing, right? We've seen a lot of like replacement stuff in Snap. This is not that. If you have an Iron Man and 2 squirrels in a lane, play this, you will have 3 Iron Men in that lane. And that is very powerful. Now, it is a high upfront cost. I mean, it's not on a 2/3 body, it's on a 3 drop, so it's going to come a little bit later, and then it costs 3, which is, pretty big, especially as you get into the later turns when you want to be really making sure all your energy is worth it. So it needs to have that, but that 3/5 body is good. And as we see this 3/5 that puts a card in your hand, we see Merlin. Like, I do kind of wonder about like Kahori, Devil Dinosaur, these effects. But the thing that I really think is going to notice here is if you have one other card in that lane, this is kind of like a Mystique, right? Like if you just play the Ancient One in a lane with some ongoing, your speed, and then play this, okay, you basically just Mystiqued. You had one card that copied that ongoing. If you have 2, though, is where it really starts to go crazy. And you really also don't want that many ongoings. You want like a couple of them. So like looking at this card, I'm thinking maybe like the Agent Venom decks that sometimes play like an Iron Man, and like then they have like Athena and all these Basts and all these, like, they can put out a lot of cards. They have a couple of really powerful ongoings. Maybe they'll play Speed or something now with this, and then you can just be like, oh, this Iron Man lane I had, you were going to try to fight me there. Sometimes they play Mystique. No, you cannot. I have 3 Iron Man in that lane right now. One of them's a Havoc. That's a 2/12. Like seeing that, like, you really want to have a couple of really powerful ongoing effects. This isn't an ongoing deck card. It's a couple of ongoings, maybe Devil Dinosaur, maybe Darkhawk, where you can copy that Darkhawk.
Can I just throw a card at you and make you smile? Or cry, depending on how you feel about it? Victoria Hand.
Yeah, no, exactly. That I think that is another perfect example, because that's another card that plays out a bunch of stuff. We see like Hood versions with 4 demons. What if you have 3 Victoria Hands in a lane and 2 of them are demons? Like, you're winning that lane. This card seems very powerful. I absolutely think this card is going to have a home, especially with that 3/5 body, because it does require a lot, but it also has a huge payoff. So I see a lot of homes for this. I see a lot of ways this can kind of play out. Also, I do want to say Cerebro 5. Cerebro 5.
Yeah,
you can say that all you want.
I'd be remiss if I didn't.
Yeah, I guess this is another, like, I mean, you wouldn't need to, well, you brought up Mystique. I mean, you wouldn't need to Frigga, or it's you could, yeah. I mean, you could just for three for for 3 costs and 5 power. I mean, I think you could. I think this is a really good card. I don't know, because say you play Havoc, right? Havoc leaves you with 3 power to play. Like, I mean, you could. Well, I mean, that would just be a crazy. I mean, that's just an insane idea. But just play Havoc and play this, and you get 2 Havocs in 2
Nope.
lanes.
It only copies ongoings.
Oh, it only copies ongoing. Sorry,
Mhm.
all right, but yeah, so you could do. Yeah, there's
I mean, so
this
I am
dark.
literally going to look up ongoings right now that we want to hit with this. If I could find it, because of course the website has 10 million things. So just
Well,
ongoing cards that we might want to hit. Ready?
what about negative? I mean,
Sure.
like Gore, Iron Man.
Yeah,
How
lots
about
of good
a
hits.
board full of Ant-Man? How about a board full of Captain America? Every Captain America buffing every other Captain America 2 or 3 times. How about suddenly turning everything into obviously like the big stuff like Darkhawk or Devil Dino. But we can hit plenty of smaller stuff. We don't want to hit Goliath because now we're running too many ongoings and we're being risky, right? But
Yeah.
how about Gorgon? Like we just have a Gorgon in the list, and our opponent's playing Thanos. And it's like, how about +3 to all of your stones? Obviously, Gore and Iron Man are incredible. How about if all your 1-drops are also Joaquin Torres?
Yeah.
I would like some extra Madam Web so I can throw a Madam Web to another Madam Web location. Mr. Fantastic giving +9 to each side location. Ms. Marvel,
Mhm.
yeah. Omega Red, whatever, worse Ms. Marvel. Patriot, recently buffed. +6 power to anything. My personal favorite, I think, is Ravonna. Just make your Gore and Iron Man be like stupid cheap.
Yep.
Right, like
All
-3
right.
cost immediately, Quinjet, so on and so forth. There's a million things. I'm hyped for this card. It's going to be like Joaquin Torres, I think, is really, really cool. But like the home is just you use it with Victoria Hand, and then you run like a speed in there. And like if you turn your demons into a speed because you didn't draw Victoria Hand, okay.
Oh no.
Right? Yeah, right. You like have a speed or Mr. Fantastic, and like, and then you're just like, all right. I mean, I guess I'll live this way instead. And either which way, you just win. I'm very, very excited for this card. Like, very excited for this card. We saw how powerful Images of Icon was. Like, at the end of the day, Images of Icon is really the reason to play Agamotto, right? Like, what you're trying to do is cheat out shit with Images of Icon. And this is like an Image of Icon for a very, very specific card type. I think it's hyper good.
All right. I think it's a pretty inarguable. Let's go to a card that I'm just going to lay out on the table, and this might be a hot take. This card fucking sucks. All right.
Oh, nope.
So 2/2,
I thought so too.
Series 5, 6K tokens. On reveal, replace the text of each card in your hand with that of a random card that costs the same amount. All right. Parrot, what you think?
So this card, when I first read it, I was like, this card sucks. And then I was like, okay, how is this card very different than Sauron? Right? Like, if you have Starbrand in your hand, if you have all these Typhoid Mary, you know, these cards that have bad downsides, I'm like, okay, that's cute, right? Like, there's a deck there. Will it be the top deck? No idea. And then I was like, okay, well, how is it different than War Machine? Right? Like, Infinite, Ebony Maw, these are all the cards that we've seen play in War Machine decks, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's a Sauron, maybe it's kind of another War Machine. It also turns off Agatha. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a bit more to this card than I was originally thinking, which I really liked. Now, the big thing there is it's all cards, right? This isn't Sauron where it's just going to hit your ongoing where you can be like, okay, well then I just won't play any other ongoing. Like, no, whatever else is in your deck is also going to get hit, which does put a weird placement on this because, you generally want to be playing the cards that are in your deck. And that's something we've even seen with Sauron. When you turn off your armor, when you turn off your Cosmo, you're like, really wish I hadn't done that, but what am I going to do? Not play the Sauron? And this is going to hit all of them. So I think this card's probably better than it reads because it seems like a Sauron and a War Machine and an Agatha enabler. I mean, yeah, like Magic Christmas Land. Let's imagine our, Infinite turns into Doctor Doom. Love that. Let's imagine our Ebony Maw is also an Ant-Man or a Silver Sable. Love doing that too. And I guess it's really going to depend. I think this is a card we really can't judge until we build those decks and we see how often the other cards in our hands just feel unplayable, right? Like how often the Cosmos and armors that you have in your Sauron deck are suddenly like terrible options. Because if they're not, I think this card could actually, if you're just turning your Sauron into Copycat or Cosmo
Not
into
anymore.
Copycat. Yeah, true. It is what it is. I don't think you'll feel that bad, but in games where you're like, man, when you get Luke Cage on your 3-drop, that's going to feel great. But if you're regularly downgrading 40% of your deck because you can't fill your deck with Infinites and Star Brands, I think this card will feel bad, but I think we're really going to have to sit down and actually play those decks. I think this card has a home. How good it will be, we're not going to know until we play it.
Carlo?
Yeah, and actually, as a Sauron enjoyer, I hadn't even thought about that. But and and also being able to play, being able to play cards like Infinite and stuff like that without War Machine or without but yeah, just the fact that this will it's just gonna change the text on your card into random text. Well, I mean, the Sauron deck, it's just big cards. I mean, is it just gonna be like big dumb idiots again?
So you just don't run Scar in the current Sauron list, right? Like if your cards are, and I'm just gonna run you through what you run. You run Red Skull, Typhoid Mary. Like you keep Sauron in the deck, right? Like you run Red Skull, Typhoid Mary, Ebony Maw, Lizard, whatchamacallit, stupid 310 boy, Starbrand.
Starbrand.
Yeah, you keep like, and then like you either play this or Sauron on 2. Like just have a great time. Like what's the downside to that? Like you're not I mean, I guess you could get a goblin out of them and then you're sad, but it's not like it auto played the card for you. Like it just like you just 90% of the cards text in this game are positive, right? And so you're just saying I've got a 5/14 Iron Man, or I've got a 5/14 that does very little else, right? I've got a 5/14 Cersei, but that's still a fucking 5/14. That's not giving my opponents +2 power, right? Like there's only one card at each cost slot, or 2 cards at each cost slot that really are bad. I think we're going to want to be careful with 6s because Agatha is a 6, as Carrot noted, but he didn't note that what happens when you turn your Infinite into Agatha in your non-Agatha deck? And there's not that many 6s. And then like you can also be turning like I think we're going to want to avoid 6s, and we're just going to say what is the biggest stats I can run at each spot. We're going to be like Hull Obsidian, Crossbones, here we go. Let's go to town. Like have a great time. Like I don't see any real downside to this. I think this card is utterly insane.
I can even see
in that deck.
Still playing Scar in it. Like we still play armor in our right. Like sometimes that's one of the things is you say I have all this upside in this deck.
It just hits hand, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just like I'll play it, and if my Scar, 50% of the time my Scar will still be in my deck, or 60%,
if not, it's
whatever it is.
Arishem.
Yeah, and if not, then
Yeah.
whatever. I have my 310 Star brand with Cosmo text, and I'll get my opponent with that.
All right.
I'm excited to try this in Agatha, by the way. I think
Well-
that's kind of hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, that's going to be a Brady thing, obviously.
Yeah, Brady will go crazy for that.
Well, another way to get the text off Agatha. All right. That
It's the
card
only
was
way to
all-
get the text off Agatha. There's no other way to get the text off Agatha.
Well, there's ways to play her earlier. Is what I'm
Okay.
trying to say,
Yeah.
All right. So, Clea, 1/1, Series 5 6K tokens. After this card permanently gains power, add a Flames of the Fault team to your hand, if in hand or in play. I assume she only triggers once, or do you get this every time?
Yeah, every time it seems like.
Okay. So that means you can get this one cost skill, because this is, I guess, the skill season, is really what this is. On
like that
reveal.
Someone said this, but it's really great that they were like, they're skills, not spells. And then they released 10 million of them that are
Yeah.
all spells.
Well, and they're also, with the next time it's wizards, right? It's wizard themed. Well, Agamotto was also wizard
It started
themed,
with
so,
Agamotto, and then they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we're not going to do anything with this the season after Agamotto, though. Or the season after that, but then it's going to come back. You know when it's going to come back? Spells, baby.
Yeah.
Just don't call
Anyway.
it that.
On reveal, afflict an enemy card here with -2 power, not and.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
Banish this, of course. So what do we think about this one drop that gives you the Marvel Snap equivalent of a removal spell, DeCarlo, if you put some work into it?
I mean, a 1/1 that afflicts an enemy with -2 power, and I don't know what's wrong. I can't find anything wrong with this.
Parrot?
And
Oh, go ahead,
and
Jarkala.
oh, and sorry, and Glazer, you said since it. Do you get the? Are you able to use the spells again, or
You
I
should,
guess you'd have to
every
copy.
time you get more power on Clea, you should get another Flames of Faultine in hand. So if you get one power on Clea, you get one Flames of Faultine in hand. You get another power on Clea, you get another Flames of Faultine in hand. If you get a bunch of Flames of Faultine, you can play them all. There's no reason you can't. I mean, Luke Cage is a card, but like it's not that common right now.
So I mean, you could go nuts. I mean, like, well, especially if she was like your first card dropped, and then it basically ends up turning into, I don't know, kind of like a more buffed wins.
Well, more expensive.
More expensive.
You're
But
playing one every time, right? So like,
yeah. But I don't know. I think at some point that they're gonna have to adjust the wins spell anyways. But
I don't. When's the last time you saw Agamotto? That shit disappeared.
yeah.
I mean, I play
Well-
it, but like no one else does.
I think it was banished. I don't think it. I think that's what
Yeah,
they're calling
really.
it now.
Yeah, Agamotto is it's just gone. Like the deck wasn't good enough. People are like, I hate the season pass layer. Like my whole comments on the OTA are, I hate the season pass layer. And I'm like, guys, just wait because that shit's gone. Like the high infinite meta trickles down to the rest of the metagame. It always does. Like people are a lot of the best players, or a lot of the best deck builders. They innovate a lot and they've come with the best decks, and then people put them, like me, put out videos on them, and then a bunch of people at high infinite play, and then the high infinite people play slightly lower people, and they win, and then they go, oh, I want to play that deck, and then it goes down, and eventually the whole meta becomes fairly similar to the high infinite meta, which will have then moved on, but no one's playing the Agamotto season pass style decks. Agamotto's just gone. Like it'll be gone from everywhere soon, unless people just keep it as like a fun meme deck, but it won't win enough for it to matter at that point. Sorry. Parrot?
Yeah, seeing Clea, there's like two things I have to say. One, absolutely love what this card is doing. I love cards that ask you to do something kind of weird and give you a unique payoff, right? Like Wiccan is the example that comes to mind, right? Like we were like playing all of our energy every turn to get more energy. What does this even mean? And it was awesome when it finally released, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise. I loved Wiccan. I love the idea of Clea. This card seems super weak. That is how like I feel when I see this card. Like a 1/1 is not good stats at all. Like terrible stats. There are very few 1/1s that we see. There are very few 1-drops that we see in the game. And then a 1/1 that requires me to buff it, and I can't buff it with like a Koye. I can't buff it with Fastos. I need to buff it in player on hand, which is not easy to do. I mean, Sebastian Shaw really only sees play because of Surfer. Like, we're not... Yeah, there are the hand buff decks. I've played them. I've really enjoyed them. But they're not, like, taking over the meta by storm. Yeah, no.
I love
it's
them
hard
too.
to buff cards, especially when you can't Killmonger a Nova because you're going to kill your Clea. And then the payoff is to get these Flames of Faltine, which is basically a Misty Knight. Like a 1 to inflict your opponent with -2 power. Like, that's not great stats. It feels like way too much for too little of a payoff. I do think that there is a sweet spot with this card that hopefully maybe this is just data mines and it'll get some kind of buff. But right now, it almost seems to me like Bruce Banner, where it's like, wow, this card's doing something really unique. A 2/12 would be awesome, and you'll never get that, and you'll get really frustrated because it requires way too much to go right.
Well, ready?
And your opponent can answer it.
What if the flames are 0 cost?
That would be great.
Well, yeah, that'd
be kind of busted.
Isn't the exact thing.
Yes, but like I don't think there's a way to make this not busted or terrible. I think we're sort of choosing that. Oh, it could be Marvel Boy.
Yeah, I think
Kane
that's
notes
where
Marvel
it
Boy,
goes.
but like,
Yeah.
even then, you're getting an extra flames a turn, which is nice. But like,
yeah.
I mean, if you
Is
have
it
extra
that
energy, otherwise you're
broken?
just sort of sitting there with, yeah.
I think, but I think it just goes in like Marvel Boy style decks that are looking for 1-drops with upside, right? That are generically just fine to play, right? You play Clea on 1, and then you
Marvel
put Marvel
Boy's the only way to buff it in that deck.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't even play that many 1-drops in your Zoo decks nowadays. You're playing like Shauna and like Squirrel Girl, and then
letting that
maybe
do the
an
work for you.
Ant-Man, maybe like one like that deck doesn't even play that many 1-drops. Really, there's.
Yeah.
I want this to be good, but I'm not spending an extra energy every turn for a -2. That's just not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, and even with Marvel Boy, is taking one of the spots in your deck and on your board to, after your turn, get a free minus. In this theory, in this world where it's free, get a free 0/2. Is that even that busted? Like 1 a turn?
Well, it is if you're playing
We
with
have
Nicholas
Makari.
Scratch, right? Like, if there's going to be enablers that, like, if their plan is to build enablers like Nicholas Scratch, like, if there's going to be, say, the next time they do a skill season, another Nicholas Scratch, well, then another way to produce a cheap skill is good.
Yeah. Remember that hand size in Marvel Snap, though, is really small. I've been playing a lot of Thanos lately, and it's like this constant, overwhelming reminder that hand size is at a premium, because, like, you'll see, like, a Daily Bugle, and it'll be like, well, fuck, I guess I'm not drawing. Right? Like, just one simple, like, God, Triskelion makes me angry nowadays.
Triskelion is that's the
like,
worst.
it's just, even when it gives me good cards, I'm just like, I don't want, like, I'm trying to play my deck. But, like, there's hand space is a premium. The problem with the skills deck, if this is good, is going to be like, where am I fitting space to both buff this and play all of my other skill cards? Unless there's a skill card that buffs this, I don't see this working. Or they can change the numbers on it somehow.
Anything, final thoughts, Parrot, DeCarlo?
No, I agree with that.
No.
I don't think it's quite there.
Yeah, actually, after hearing everyone else's thoughts on this, I mean, it'd have to go in like a zoo or something, and it's not worth the payoff.
All right, let's talk about the big boy himself, Dormammu.
Dormammu.
Dormammu. I've never pronounced this name right.
It's moo.
All right,
Dormammu.
It's a
Moo.
cow.
Sure. All right. Series 5, 6K tokens, 710. All right. So game start. Begin a summoning ritual. Add the first step to your hand. These are all skills, correct?
Mhm.
All right. So it creates a cascading set of skills. 0. On reveal, merge your highest powered destroyed card with Dormammu. All right. To continue this ritual. Banish.
And just wait, let me say before we go on that we're all assuming that you have to actually have something destroyed for this to work.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
But it does cost 0. So 1 cost. On reveal, Dormammu steals 1 power from each other card to continue the ritual. That's both sided.
Mhm.
Okay. And through the whole board, it doesn't say steals 1 power from each card
From
here.
each other card.
It says each other card. It doesn't say
Yes, it
your
doesn't
card.
say
It
here.
says every
Did I
card on
mess
the
this
board.
up?
Every card on the board.
I'll look it up very quickly. You guys
All right.
continue.
On reveal, destroy 2 of your other cards here to summon Dormammu. At that point, you will have a 7 cost 10 plus. So whatever your destroyed was.
The destroyed and the
and plus whatever
stolen
power is
power.
stolen. And the power that's stolen. Yep. All right. DeCarlo. Or did we go, or was it you last time? Is it Parrot's turn to start us off here? We'll go with
Parrot,
DeCarlo. Go ahead.
All right.
Dormammu won't search.
Take it away.
Well, it Dormammu seems like a cool card. I guess this is the next 7 drop. But yeah, so you have to destroy something. Right? So
So turn 2.
And that begins a summoning ritual. Add the first step to hand, and then on reveal, merge your highest power destroyed card with Dormammu. So that'll add power to him. It cost 1 on reveal. Dormammu. Did you find out whether
I can't find the stupid summoning rituals, so just let's assume it's the whole board for the time being.
Yeah. So if the next one, if cost 1 is stealing 1 power from each card on
here,
both sides.
The word here is there. It's both sides of one location. The word here is there.
Okay.
I just missed it when I copied
that
it. Sorry.
changed everything that I thought about this card.
Yeah, there goes the Ajax combo.
So steals 1 power from each other card here.
Yeah.
And then that adds to.
Yep. Steal is always adds to the thing that
and
steals.
then cost 3 on reveal. Destroy 2 of your other cards here to summon. Okay, to actually bring him onto the board. He's obviously a really cool card. It's just, I don't know. It seems like a lot. I don't know. It seems like a lot of work though. I mean, I guess is he just going? I mean, is he just going in destroyed decks or like?
Parrot, what do you think?
This card feels to me like what Morgan Le Fay wants to be, where it is asking a lot. Like, I'm like, how am I going to get a card in my destroy bin early? What am I going to want on the board to destroy at the last part for this? Like, can I work in all of these energy costs? And then what's the payoff? Oh, a 715, a 716 for 3? Maybe this is something I want to do, right? Like, this is something where I'm like, okay, this is asking a lot, and there's a big payoff. And that I like. So this, I'm very high on this card, because it also feels like if there is a deck that wants to play this, it is not going to be a deck we've seen before. You know, this almost feels like Erisham again. Not power level or anything, but just
Told
like...
you, every season gets a Nico
Yep.
and an Erisham.
Yep, and I actually love that, because I love the weird cards. Even when they end up like Erisham, and I, want to punch myself in the face every time I play against them, but I still like the unique effects and stuff. And I just like cards that make me re-look at the whole of Marvel Snap. When I look at this effect and I'm like, wait, Bucky Barnes is a card. Didn't Uncle Ben come out a couple months ago? Where has that been?
Oh, that's true.
And so all these cards, and suddenly I'm like re-looking at everything. How quickly can I get something into my graveyard, Like, is just playing Carnaging like a Squirrel Girl and then having a random squirrel to destroy at the end good enough? Because the payoff, when you think about it practically, if things are going mildly correct in this deck, because you're always going to have the summoning ritual in your hand, and you're going into your 6th turn. We're not going to say, turn 4 or 5, where probably you want to be with Dormammu, but you're going into your 6th turn. You have a little bit of a board, you've destroyed something, and you've, done his stealing power thing. Then you have probably 315, and you need to have 2 other cards to destroy, but that seems worth it. Like, that's making me want to put Bucky Barnes in a deck. It's making me want to put, figure out where to steal this effect. So I think this card is very good, especially when, if you just play Zabu on 1, let's say Carnage it on 2, that's 2 out of the 3 summoning rituals. And then if your last turn is 3-drop Shang-Chi and a giant Dormammu, that feels, maybe it'll be cute, maybe it'll be more of a, not the top meta tier 2 deck, but it definitely feels like there's going to be something there. And for a card like this, I could definitely see if this comes out a little bit weaker, he becomes a 7/12. He becomes a 7, that cost, that last part of the summoning ritual is a cost too, because I think they're going to want this to be a card that sees play. Maybe not, Erisham, where it was 40% of the meta and everyone was miserable, but I think they're going to want this to be a solid deck that people are spending their tokens on, they're opening their snack packs to go for Dormammu.
This is just a whole new deck. There's no way to know how good a whole new deck is until we have it in our hands. I would assume that they're going to make this good because it's so cool, but I don't think it has to be great. It doesn't have to be yeah, Thanos Destroy makes a lot of sense, as one of our chatters notes. But yeah, that kind of thing makes perfect sense. You just slay it and destroy stuff. Everyone keeps saying that Bucky is the best card for it, and it probably is, right? I'm assuming that you have to actually succeed in the destroy here. I could see it being Killmonger 1s. I could see that working with Morgan Le Fay, potentially. You go 1 Killmonger, 1/1 Killmonger, and you can immediately play the next thing, right? Morgan Le Fay on 4, play a couple more 1s, you get to destroy some extra 1s that you have floating around. This all seems to work totally fine. That obviously makes a lot of sense on Thanos, although you're less likely to see your destroy cards, which makes that a little rough. But he seems like a lane winner. You're winning a lane by playing that 3.
Yeah.
So if you can win a lane with him, you just have to figure out a way to win another lane. That seems like a perfectly reasonable and valid thing to do. You would ideally be doing this on turn 5, because I think what you probably want to do on turn 6, well, no, you kind of have to do it on turn 6. Otherwise, that's going to be bigger than 10, and then Shang-Chi still controls power, whether it be Dormammu or not, right? So you're going to have to do this on turn 6, so I guess you do this in Juggernaut. And that's how you try and win a lane, or you have to try and win a lane on turn 5, which is obviously really hard since the demise of Professor X. So I don't know. There's some stuff to be done here. I think this is cool. I think this is gonna be fun. I'm for it. All right, we ready to move on?
Yeah. Also, I'm glad they made Dormammu cool.
Yeah,
I think I would have been very disappointed if I was like, oh, a random 2-drop.
And Just like in the comics and the movie, he's doing too much. All right, let's talk about Nicholas Scratch. Series 4, 3K tokens, 1-2. Barrett, what do you think of the text? After you play a skill, +1 power.
I mean, this is going to be a card that just gets better every month, right? The more Marvel Snap is around, the longer it goes, the more skills we should theoretically be getting, and the better this 1-2 exists, right? Like, it feels like Meek in that it's this one drop that's asking you to do something, and then as you're doing it, it gets bigger. Only unlike Meek, I think skills are a bit more varied than specifically discarding, and seeing a whole month of skills after we just got Agamotto, and Clea is gonna be able to respond to this, and the Tau Mandala, like there's going to be a lot of skills. There's probably going to only be more and more. So I mean, I think this is just going to be a card everyone wants. How good it will be, I mean, probably like King Atiri-ish, right? Where like King Atiri is just a card that when Agamotto comes out, when the Thor Beta Ray Bill gets his buff, you put this King Atiri in your deck and you're happy. Just seems like that's going to be Nicholas Scratch.
DeCarlo?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a 1 cost that gets 1 power for every skill that you play. So I'm sure that we're just gonna be getting more skill cards. I mean, I know we have. I mean, I know we already have some, but Meek, yeah, Meek was Meek was a good comparison. Like Meek, everyone underestimates Meek, but then Meek just grows. Although the only problem is Killmonger still exists. But I don't know if you're gonna be seeing a lot of. Well, actually, this season you may be seeing Destroy if people are playing Dormammu and stuff like that. So, I mean, someone may be playing Killmonger to destroy stones, and but I don't. Right now, I mean, I don't see I don't see a downside to a 1 cost 2 power card that gets that just grows 1 for every skill that you play.
Yeah, it's fine if the meta says it's fine, but even then, I'm probably playing utility 1 drops over power 1 drops in my skill decks. Like, it's hard for me to imagine a world where I want this over Quinjet, over Zabu, etc. But it's fine. It's a perfectly fine card. I'm not sad it exists. If they release enough of these, it becomes a real card. It's not a real card as a one-off, but it gets somewhere. Right? Anything?
This card is going to be busted one day and is not going to be busted when it releases.
Yep, sounds right to me.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Kale, you all immediately knew who she was, right? As soon as we said her name, right? Very iconic Marvel character.
I think I went to school with her.
Also, great costume design. Anyway,
yeah. We're all aware of the Ghost Rider's cousin, Jennifer Kale, all right? She's one of the most iconic characters.
Yes. She was cool in Agatha, even though she has nothing in common with this version, but the show version has nothing in common with this. Anyway, she's a 2/2. Series 4 through the code tokens. Activate. Next turn, you get +1 energy. Parrot, thoughts, feelings?
It's a card that'll exist. It's not doing anything super unique. Maybe we'll get a decks that want to play this, but it just is what it is. It's a Psylocke that takes a turn, but then you can do it whenever you want. So kind of like a Luna Snow that you can play on too, but without the power. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be a deck that wants her, but
DeCarlo?
Yeah. It's that's it. I mean, I completely agree with Parrot. Yeah, I mean, it's Psylocke, but it's the first activate Psylocke. So you can, all right, and put her on the board, and if I need extra energy on a on a certain turn, then I activate her. I don't know if that's really worth playing. You know, if that's worth the 2/2.
Yeah. Look, it'll find a home once in a while, just like Psylocke finds a home once in a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
It just being able to set it and forget it is nice, but I don't really give a shit about it. Like, this is the kind of card that if Activator existed longer, this would have existed longer.
Yeah.
It's one of the it's one of the cards I'm least excited for ever in Marvel Snap, which is a real
Yeah.
which is like Bruce and Ross were bad, but at least they were interesting bad. This is just like, wow, you released Kale. Thanks.
Well, wait a
Same
minute. You play
time?
her on 2. Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man on 4. Activate this. Play Galactus on 5.
Eh?
I
There's
could
yeah.
play Galactus
This
on 5 plenty of ways.
But
Look,
wait, no.
you joke though, but Psylocke was at certain points in this game's history busted.
This card will be good.
Yeah,
it says
it's just
plus
I don't fucking
one.
care.
Oh, I agree with you there. But it says +1 energy, so at some point it's going to be just busted, like all cards that say plus energy at some point.
Yep.
So,
all right,
such a bad costume though. Just
Yeah.
anyway. Let's move on.
all right, we've been talking about Jennifer fucking Kale. All right,
It's like it's like a female Havoc.
It's just going to be the card
Havoc
that
is
everyone
awesome.
skips in their high.
No, I meant the design.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
It's the card that everyone skips in high voltage, and then when a deck comes out, half the people are
Oh my
like, "Wait,
God.
what do I replace her with?"
I get the E-Tree question like 6 times a day.
So
All right, go ahead.
quick question about this card, Astral Protection, which is a 3-cost Series 4 3K tokens. On reveal, copy the text of an on reveal card in your hand. This is a skill you can just straight up put in your deck.
Yep, looks like it.
Looks like it, yeah.
Wild.
Here, can I just this card's gonna suck. Like bad. But continue.
I mean, maybe.
Has
DeCarlo?
copying on reveals ever been what we wanted it to be in Marvel Snap?
It isn't until, remember, people mock Grandmaster until
They gave it a bunch of power?
Yeah, they tripled its power even more.
No, they infinite buffed its
yeah,
power.
because 3 times 0 is...
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I use Grandmaster a lot, but Grandmaster actually has power, and but copy the text of an on reveal card in your hand. I don't know. This just the fact that I don't know. It has no power.
It's a random card in your hand. If you have 1 on reveal, it's potentially great. And if you have 2 on reveals, what the fuck do you do with this?
Yeah, it's
Pray?
because it's random.
Like, you can't run Sage. You can't, whatever. This card seems like an utter waste. Parrot?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to play 3-drop Gwenpool. I would not want my Gwenpool to have 0 power, and also I can just play Zabu for that, right? Like, Doesn't work with Black Panther, any of like the big on reveals. Like, okay, you can cheat out White Tiger, but there's so many ways to cheat out White Tiger or double up White Tiger. It's never been good. A lot of the on reveal stuff that you want to be doing is, like you said, like Sage. It's cards that it's power. Black Panther and Arnim Zola and this doesn't help you do that. So I don't know. There's probably going to be a cute combo deck that you'll see posted on Reddit or on Twitter of someone doing something crazy, and you'll think, "Oh, how cool!" The bigger thing is to me, that this doesn't say banish. That's actually kind of interesting to me.
It's okay. It's totally gonna end up banishing. It's fine.
Yeah, that's.
They just didn't. They were iterating, and they were like, "All right, let them data mine this shit. We'll add banish later."
Or this is one of the abilities of Merlin that got cross-referenced with something. You never know.
The art suggests no, right?
True, but we did have like Flames of the 14 with Doctor Strange Part 2, so.
All right, well, fuck this card.
All right, well,
I just think it's cool to get a skill.
It's wild, is what it is.
That we can put in our deck. Yeah,
it was a matter of time.
It was. All right. So, variant of the week, as always, we close out the show every week with the variant of the week. We've got 3 this way. We'll start with on our left. I love how it's got the new power, old power confusion here. For
as
me.
The website's update, that's how it works. Sorry.
All right, so the Devil Dino, that's sort of cartoonish isn't the right way to put it. Sort of, I don't know. Who's the artist on this one, Glazer?
I don't know.
Who's
the artist on this one? Who?
Brett Bean.
Okay.
Brett Bean.
Is that yours then, Perry?
He's done. Yes, it was. He's done a couple, like he has a beast in there. It's very, I think, reminiscent of Saturday morning cartoons. Not like cartoony, but specifically kind of like the He-Man-y. I don't know. I like it. I like the cartoony ones. I like the art where when my girlfriend is looking over my shoulder, she can say, "Oh, I love that card," or she can buy a Dan Hip Man Thing pin because she just really likes the art. Which this absolutely is.
Very cool. Then over here on the right side of our screen here, we have the sort of Moon Girl and Devil Dino balloon design, I guess, would be what it is. Who picked this one?
I picked this one. So for me, it was a toss up between this and the food variant. You know, with which was hard. Whatever. Everyone goes with him with the big, with the big bone in his mouth. This is the walk in the park variant, and I don't know. I just kind of love him with Moon Girl on top, and then just like people just like staring up at him.
I think that one is very cool. Roy and I picked the hip. Roy, why'd you pick the hip?
Because it's really good. I mean, thing about Devil Dinosaur is almost all of his variants are really good. It was kind of just like, which one do I enjoy looking at the most that I can think of while I'm responding to Glazer? I was like, oh yeah, the hip. It's from that bundle or whatever.
That I didn't buy, and still has not shown up in my vault.
Rip.
I got the Moon Girl.
So why'd you pick it?
Because I want it real bad. It's the variant in the game I want most, and it will not show up in my collector's vault. I need the hip Groot. No. Rocket? Groot. Hip Groot. And I need the hip Devil Dinosaur. And then I am hip complete in Marvel Snap. And this one will not show up in my vault. It's also the one we use for our Brookland advertising when we do live tournaments in Brookland. And it just taunts me. And one day it will be mine. I think it's great art. I think it's one of the better hips.
Yeah,
it's really good. I think hip gets better the less human the subject is. Not that he doesn't have some good humans, but cards like his Devil Dinosaur. Yeah. Really
my god, the Helicarrier. Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah, that.
All right, let's bring this home. So, Parrot, as we wrap up here, why don't you remind our loyal listeners and loyal viewers how they would find you and engage with you and your content if they were so interested, and what they would find if they did so.
Yeah, I'm live 2 or 3 times a week on Twitch, and I have 2 or 3 videos a week on YouTube. I consider myself to be a competitive brewer, where I'm not playing decks that are just, top of the meta, iterating on them, and I'm also not playing like the wacky crazy combo decks that work 1 in every 10 games. I'm always trying to find that middle ground of what B decks might actually be A tier and what, C tier cards might have a home in this meta. So if you're looking for those kind of things, if you want someone who plays kind of off the wall decks but still competitively and is still trying to break into the meta and stuff, then click the link, check out the
Well,
YouTube.
They can't click it, but they should type it in. I think Parrot is fucking delightful. Absolutely delightful, and there is no doubt that you should follow him. I watch every single video he publishes. I don't have enough time to watch all that many Marvel Snap videos, but I make time because I genuinely think he's delightful and absolute blast to watch play. Really, really fun stuff at a really high level. So I think that you should definitely follow Parrot. I now am on his Twitch. I'm on his YouTube. Make sure you check both out. I don't think you will be remotely sad. I wish he streamed a little more on Twitch, but
Thanks.
we're making progress.
Yeah.
All right. DeCarlo, why don't you tell us and our loyal listeners once again how they can engage with you if they would love to on your content and what they would find if they did so.
Well, I'm more on Twitch, so they'd find me at, twitch.tv/DeCarlo220. And I started out pretty much as like a variety streamer, but then I just got really into Snap, and now you can pretty much find me playing Snap when I'm not doing my my real job, which is engineering. So and I have a very, and I also started something that I like. I don't know. Something called like the Mad Lad Society. Like that's what we call ourselves. And I'm kind of happy because like just using like my Discord and stuff like that, like we've been able to make, get people to affiliate level and get people on path to partner. But if you come to watch one of my streams, you'll see like content creation, a lot of crazy decks. I mean, I'll definitely be using, like the newest card out there. But I'm guaranteed to be using Bullseye or Sauron if I'm playing on the ladder. You know, post infinite, and yeah, I don't know, uh, it's yeah, I mean, just and I'm trying to. I mean, I've only been doing this since August of last year,
Nice.
and I'm close to 7,000 followers now. So we've been expanding rapidly, and that's definitely with the help of some of my other, friends in Power On and other communities and stuff like that. But yeah, if you want to come and just have a good time, and we have, then stop by.
So yeah, really, really, really consistent content, really strong decks, varied, not just exactly what you'll see on meta, lots of interesting twists, and like constant streaming. So if you want like to see some really good Marvel Snap that's being played consistently, constantly, this is a really, really good home for you. It reminds me a little bit of when he's not being a grumpy grump, a little bit of Ordinary Harry's content, where like there's just like a strong, consistent gameplay, messing around with things, and finding really cool decks. It's very chill, and I strongly urge you to go check it out.
All right, that brings us to my favorite segment each and every week, which is still not AI generated. So Glazer is going to read each and every one of our Patreon supporters in as few breaths as possible. So we'll see how it goes.
Thank you to Nick, Abigail, Lisa, Manager, Bernard, Irregalo, Sally B, Inkheim, Frostman, Hotan, Evident, I think, Booker, Prime, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Kertix Lee, Query, Kazushi, Archangel, 3K, Black Dolly, Purpose, The Goat Seeker, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Absolute Shining, Cope, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Brackwitch, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the James Zone, The Biz of Black Jeeves, 23, Exorcist, Skippy D, Jessica Gamble, Slush Death, King of Bros, Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hodo, Lunacris, Clam, Colonel Vorbin, Bricks to Click, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G, Wingfield, Stephen Brian Coffin, Tristan Martin, Jason B, Craig Starry, Matt V, Remnant, Corwin, John Q, Jim McHugh, T. Stout, 8 Sage, 1 Big Mad Movement for Reals, Cactus Jack, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap, Decisions Joe, Models Mod Supreme, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flaunt, D6 Thief, Azillant, Special Hoot, Oculars, Matt H, DJ Mike Isaac, Snowflakes, Nick the Greek Exotics, the Game Canada, Dan Falcon, Falcon Newman, Jonesy, Two Chairs, the Ripple, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course getting T, where the T stands for timeout. We actually have to do something that I meant to do at the start, and I didn't. It is the Pirate King's child's birthday as we record this, seemingly, as in the baby is going to be born today, at least according to his post on Discord. So congrats to the Pirate King. Best of luck, Mazel Tov, etc.
Yes, congratulations to Tucker's whole family.
So exciting.
Very, very.
So now
very
he's
exciting.
got 10 toes, and the last toe is the baby.
Oh,
very, very adorable. All right. So this brings us to an end of another episode of Snap Judgments. I'd like to thank our awesome guests and encourage our loyal listeners and loyal viewers to become their loyal listeners and loyal viewers. Parrot, thank you so much for being on the show this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. I always love talking Snap.
Welcome back anytime. Same is also true for DeCarlo. Thank you very much, my new friend, for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Awesome. As always, Aaron, my friend, it is lovely to do this show once in a while with you, my friend.
You only get messaged about it like 4 times a week. It's fine.
It's true.
Peace and love, everybody.
All right, friends. Until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and I cut my finger so I can't snap with that hand. Keep on snapping. I'm not as good
lefty
with my
snaps.
Right hand. I do lefty snap.